Well, hey everybody, welcome to the channel, to the Plat X2 channel. My name is John, and on this channel we talk movies, music, and books all the time. And I am super excited to have my friend Tim from Tim Talks Talkies. How's it going, man?
It's going good. I'm excited for this. Talk old movies.
Yeah, we were saying earlier, this is a great video for your grandparents. So if your grandparents need something to do in the afternoons before dinner time at 4, you can let them know that there's a great video for them to check out as we talk the movies your grandparents watch. Uh,
Yeah.
so we did, I think it was last year sometime, you and I did Classic Conversations. So this will be Classic Conversations Part 2, where we talk about classic films anywhere from the 20s to, I think what do we do? The end of the 50s?
59, yeah.
Yeah, 59. So we did one of those. I will link below our first conversation for you to check out. Bunch of recommendations. And in this conversation, we'll do the same thing, only a little different. We're not going to have it divided up by decades. We'll just hear we're going to try to do 5, but we're both going to do more than 5. But officially we'll try 5. So sound good, man?
Sounds good.
Well, before we dive into and I'll give you the first go at this, I do have one question for you. Have you recovered from your top 25 90s film live stream? Because
Oh
that, my
man,
friend, was a monster live stream.
it was a lot went into that, but a lot of people. I got so many messages afterward from people that really loved it. So I had a blast. It was worth it. People enjoying it made it all worth it. But it was a massive undertaking, and without KB's help, oh my goodness, I might still be calculating stuff.
Well, even the production value, man, that you put into that was really impressive. So well done, man. It was super fun to watch.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That was my main goal because I knew it was going to be a 2.5 to 3 hour stream. It just going through all that, you can't really make it that short, but I don't want things to ever drag. So I wanted it to feel quick paced and entertaining the whole way. So that's why I thought the commercials were kind of a fun little nostalgic throwback.
Definitely. Yeah, it was fun. Like when you first put it out there, I was like, because I love the 90s so much. Like 30s, 40s would have my heart, but 90s are just right there. And man, I think I pulled 50 films and was like, oh, I had to get to 25. And so I had so much fun just putting my list together, doing the video, and then watching that. And it was really fun. And I was thankful you guys put out the full list, compiled list, because there were some films I'm like, how did no one else vote for that? It's an amazing film. And then you go check and like, okay, other people did vote for that one too.
Yeah,
Uh,
just right outside the cusp. There was somewhere like people were like, why didn't it make it? But it's like it was still in like the 30s, and out of
yeah,
almost 800 films, that's still incredibly good.
absolutely. So that was super fun, man. So well done on that. That was awesome and really cool, I think, for the community, because so many people wanted to watch it and get involved in it. So it was really great.
The what would be the word? The amount of people participating was outstanding. I got 160 lists. I would have never fathomed that. Never. And even video wise, I swear I didn't count the amount of videos, but I linked them all, and it had to have been between 30 and 40 videos,
Wow.
which is incredible.
Crazy. And I think when you even launched it, what was the number you were aiming for? It wasn't
Oh,
160.
oh God, no. I was aiming for like 70, 80, I think.
You got like double that.
Yeah. So
That's
I was
awesome.
I was thrilled. So hopefully when I do the 80s one, that will also do pretty well.
Cool. Yeah, man. I'm excited for it, the next one you do, because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
So
I
cool.
appreciate it.
Well, everybody, we're doing films tonight, classic stuff. So from the 20s to the 50s. So Tim, you're my guest. Please, why don't you start us off with a recommendation?
All right. So I chose a little bit of like newer stuff that is not new movies, but newer releases. So if you're interested
Oh,
in any of this
cool.
stuff, it I didn't want to go grabbing stuff that is only DVD that's out of print because if anyone watching, it might be harder to find the stuff. So first one I'm gonna go with is Sorry, Wrong Number. This is actually a pretty new Scream Factory. This only came out about a month ago, I want to say. But Barbara Stanwyck and Burt Lancaster, it's hard to go wrong there.
Mhm.
Under the Scream Factory banner, so I guess they consider it horror. It's thriller at most, but I guess for this time period, there's some shocking stuff. But it's basically she's pretty much bedridden, Barbara Stanwyck's character, and she gets put through by the operator to a number she's trying to call her husband, and she gets put through to the wrong people, and she overhears people pretty much talking about it, committing a murder. And she wants to figure out what's happening. There's a lot of twists and turns. Who do they plan on murdering? This is a good time. I had a lot of fun with this. This was the first time watch, thanks to the Scream Factory. The Blu-ray looks great, awesome performances, and a hell of an ending. The ending in this was worth all of the time leading up to it. It's an excellent ending.
Nice. Very cool.
I think you'd like it. I know you're not a horror guy, but I don't see this as horror really. So
Sure.
yeah, you'd dig it, I think.
And what year was that one?
Let's see, 48.
Okay,
48.
cool. This is so I have I use the blu-ray.com app to your collection and your wish list. And I joke with Stephanie at Movie Chatter about how my wish list, it balloons, and then I'm like, all right, you know what, I don't need these ones, and so I'll slowly like curate it and get it down, and then it just explodes again. So I fully expect it to. I'm going to go home and add a bunch of movies to my wish list. So
I've found myself, I'm digging a lot more into Barbara Stanwyck. I like her quite a bit. So
nice.
I keep finding myself wanting to get more of her films.
Cool. I don't think I've seen a ton of her stuff. I have a few. But yeah, she is someone who I do need to watch more of.
Yeah.
For sure. And that's really cool. Scream Factory released that.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that it was Scream Factory. Honestly, when I ordered this, I'm like, that looks Kino. I didn't even look any more into it. I'm like, that's a Kino Lorber title, obviously. And it comes in the mail. I'm like, oh my God, this is Scream Factory.
That's awesome. Well, that's going on the list tonight. So cool. Well, my first one is it also involves you mentioned murder and a amazing ending. And so this one's from 1949 and it is Gun Crazy. So
Ooh.
I don't know if you've seen this one.
No.
Peggy Cummins and John Dahl. So this is Warner Archive release. So this one it's really interesting. It's very dark. So this fella here, he kind of grows up infatuated with guns and just loves guns, and like to the point where it's unhealthy. And then he's out at this event and he meets this woman who's just like him. She loves them, and she is an amazing shot. And then they kind of compete a little bit at the beginning, and then they go head over heels for each other. Their love for guns and their love for each other are both just like very volatile. And then they end up kind of joining forces and going on a bit of a crime spree. And
interesting.
It goes nuts. And I was watching it going, wow, for the 40s, this seems really intense. And then I will say the ending, it just keeps building and building and building and building to the end. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I did not see this coming. So yeah, really good. But for the 40s, I was like, wow, this is a little more intense than I was expecting, but it's so good. And it's definitely one you can watch multiple times.
That does sound pretty good. Yeah, I never heard of that. I'm writing that down. And Warner Archive, I trust Warner Archive. You know what I mean? I don't get burned by them very much. I am writing down Gun Crazy.
Yeah, and it says thrill crazy, kill crazy. And the back, it says supercharged with energy, nonstop action, violence, passion, and sex, remarkably contemporary. So that sounds very risque. It's clearly not because it's from the 40s. But for the 40s, yes.
Risque for the 40s.
Risque. Very for the 40s. But yeah, really, really cool. And it just hooked me from the beginning. Their relationship, it was so odd because they love each other, but through guns. And so
they do not sound like my type of people, but that sounds like a good plot.
Me either. But so anyway, I do highly recommend that one. I'd found it on DVD at a library sale, watched it, and immediately was like, I got to buy that on Blu-ray. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
I love that one. But I've also had ones where I've got the DVD, I watch it, I'm like, I need the Blu-ray, and you look it up. Oh, it doesn't have one.
That's the worst. I have some of those in this pile, unfortunately. Yeah. Cool.
All right. So for my next one, are you a fan of classic flicks, the label? Because I'm really getting into them. Really good. This was their first 4K. The Jury.
The Jury.
Yeah. So this came out, I think it was last year. There's a 1953 movie, a swift 88 minutes. I really appreciate short run times too. But pretty standard film noir, but done well and a lot of fun. It's a man who his friend is murdered and he's a private investigator. So he's trying to figure out his friend's murder while also evading the police, trying to figure it out. You know, the private investigator trying to stay one step ahead of the cops. Really good time. I enjoyed this. This flew by for me. And the author, this that Mickey Spillane, apparently he was a big author around that time. I didn't hear of him before this, but the character of Mike Hammer has been in other movies, and one of them just came out also from Classic Flicks. So I don't know if Classic Flicks is going to work their way through the Mike Hammer movies, I guess. But I liked this a lot. 4K is, when I got it, it was a little bit pricey, but Classic Flicks has sales and stuff too. But it was a good looking 4K too.
Nice. And what year did you say that was? 1950?
53.
All right.
Yeah, I'm curious how from what I understand, this Mike Hammer character, there was a lot of books by this Mickey Spillane. So maybe there's a lot of movies. I'm not really sure.
Interesting.
But I dug that one though.
Cool. And you said that's their first 4K release.
This was their first. Yeah, the other one I think it was they just released their second one, which is called crap. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, they just released their second, so they're pretty new to 4K.
That's cool. I love seeing companies going in on older films with 4K.
Yeah, and especially I mean, something like this is expected for 4K. This is like an all-time classic. But when you get stuff like this from a smaller label, it's like, that's really cool. Like, I expect this. I expect Casablanca. I do not expect this. Like, that's neat. I respect that a lot.
Absolutely. Dude, that Maltese Falcon steelbook, I watched your video the other day on that.
It's
like, that's amazing attention to detail. Like, that is whoever was sitting in that office and said, I know what we should do.
Yeah.
Genius. So
it
good.
really is. It's honestly probably going to end up in my top 10 steelbooks for the year. It's so well done.
That is awesome. Crazy. Great pick, man. So this one is one that I didn't have on any wish list. And there was, I think it's called Ideals. I was up at like 12:30 at night on Amazon scrolling, and I was looking at some films that were on my wish list, and they were all like $3 and new and sealed. And so I clicked on it. And then, when you click on it, it says all of the other things from that seller. And so this was one of them. And it was a mistake, I think, because everybody's buying up. There's Criterion, everything for like $3. So I just started grabbing and hit buy now on whatever I could get my hands on. The majority of the order got canceled, but I did end up with, I want to say 2 or 3 titles. And this was one of them. And I'd not heard of it before. I was super excited, though, to find it and to pick it up. This is from 1947, and it's Welcome Stranger.
Ooh.
So you got Bing Crosby, Joan Caulfield, and Barry Fitzgerald. And it is just a fun comedy. So Mr. Fitzgerald over here is he's a doctor in a little town in the state of Maine, and he's getting ready to go on vacation. And it's one of those, like, it's just a little town. So you need to call a replacement into town who can replace him while he's on vacation. So Bing Crosby is the young buck who shows up, and he immediately does not like him and cancels his vacation. And it's like, I'm not leaving this town with you here. So there ends up being this back and forth between these two guys. He just wants his respect, but he's not giving the young fella any respect at all. And it's kind of based on their relationship. And you got Bing Crosby in it, so he's going to sing in it. It's not a musical, but he's going to sing a little bit. And there's a lot of comedy, a little bit of romance. But if you're looking for a feel-good little town in Maine, some doctors, this is a great film.
You know, it's really funny. No relation at all, but you're describing that. It was make me think of the movie Arachnophobia. Because the older doctor is in town and he's ready to retire, and Jeff Daniels' character comes in as the young doctor gets set to replace him, and the other doctor decides not to leave. So, I was just thinking of Arachnophobia as you
That's
described
funny.
that.
That's really funny. I wonder if they took that from that idea.
Maybe.
But yeah, man, it's just a great chill film. It's not gonna blow your socks off, but if you're looking for just a calm,
Who released that one? Looks Kino.
It's a Universal film.
Oh, it's just a standard release?
Yes, standard release.
Interesting. Okay. So
Yeah,
that
I
should be cheap then.
yeah, I'd not
Hopefully.
heard of it before, but I was when I saw it come up there and I saw Bing on there, like it was Blu-ray. So yeah,
Very nice.
yeah. So that's pick number two.
I'm feeling bad that some of mine you might have heard because I know you heard of this. I don't think you saw this, but Flesh and Fantasy.
Dude, I
Oh.
just saw oh my gosh. Who just David at
Film Collector
uh,
Archive.
yes, I just
Yes.
saw his video of it. I had
Yeah.
never heard of it till then.
It's yeah, it's damn good. I wanted to highlight it, especially because Vinegar Syndrome now has a little sub label called Vinegar Syndrome Labs, where their entire purpose is going to be doing older stuff like this. And I'm regardless for the first bit, I'm buying everything they release under that because I want to support it.
Yeah.
This never had a release before, just like I just ordered the movie The Cat Creeps, which was one of Universal's last major horror movies from the old era. So I'm excited for that one. But this one is an anthology movie, borderlines horror, but it's more fantasy. It's a man who uh, is reading a story to another man of different fables, and each fable kind of has that fantasy twist to it. I don't think any of them border horror at all, but you have Barbara Stanwyck in here. She's in one of them. She's in the final story. They're all captivating stories. I enjoyed them a lot. They had a good message at the end and highly entertaining. This was, I am all for
That's
that. Look at
awesome.
that cast too. It's a pretty big cast in it, but yeah, I'm
The,
all for Vinegar Syndrome doing more of this stuff. Very enjoyable. I already like anthology movies quite a bit. I had a really good time. It's
that's
like,
one I put on my list recently.
yeah,
I couldn't believe it when I heard that is Vinegar Syndrome. I've never purchased a single thing from Vinegar Syndrome because they're typically horror, isn't it?
most of it's horror. Yeah, they've been kind of branching out a little bit, but they even I've seen this advertised as horror by some stuff, and this is more fantasy than it is horror.
Okay.
The horror elements are super light. This is
Mm-hmm.
more fantasy than anything. So definitely follow the fantasy more than the flesh part. So
That's a
it
real
is.
flip on it too.
Oh, it's a beautiful slip. I don't know if the slip's still available, but
Okay.
yeah, I enjoyed all the stories quite a bit. Like the one of my favorite stories is actually the one with Barbara Stanwyck, but it's a what would it be? Like a circus performer that he does like high wire acts. He has dreams of himself falling, and other stuff has led him to think that he's seeing the future. So he's afraid to perform because he's afraid he's going to fall. And Barbara Stanwyck is a character he falls in love with, and there's a really good story going on there. It's a lot of fun. It's really good.
That's cool. That's awesome. Edward G. Robinson, is he on that one?
Yes, yes, he is in one of the stories too. Yep,
Oh man. I was so pumped when I saw that release.
yeah,
I was
it's
like, I'll
it's
buy my
good.
very first Vinegar Syndrome film now.
I'm all for that Vinegar Syndrome Labs label now. Like anything they put out, I'm supporting it. I don't care if I already own it on something else or what. I'm buying it because I got to support the fact that they're doing old stuff now. That's really cool.
That is really cool. Yeah, I was super excited when I saw David mention that the other day.
Yeah.
Nice pick, man. That's great. Friends, if you're watching, I hope you're writing these down and picking them up for either you or your grandparents. Uh,
You know what, too? This will probably sell just because it's Vinegar Syndrome.
probably exactly. That's the thing. You throw their name on there, people are gonna think it's cool. That's funny, man. All right. Well, pick number three for me. I don't believe this has a Blu-ray release, at least a North American one. And this one I found in a bin at a Liberty Ministries thrift store when I went to visit Pam at the Video Game Movie Dome. And I grabbed it there and I watched this. So over Christmas, I got one of my gifts was COVID. I got to have COVID and be in quarantine over Christmas.
Gift.
Yeah. So one of the things I did was watch like an obscene amount of movies and read. But this was one of the ones that I watched. Maybe most of a few of these were in my COVID days. But this was one of them, and I loved it. This is from 1942. and it's The Pride of the Yankees with Gary Cooper,
Gary Cooper. All right.
Teresa Wright, Walter Brennan, and Babe Ruth.
Teresa Wright.
I know, man.
She's great.
She is. So I actually went on I watched this and then went on a monster Gary Cooper binge. And I'd seen one or two of his films, but I just couldn't stop watching them after watching this. And I'm not a Yankees fan. I'm not a baseball guy, really.
I'm not a baseball guy either, so I would probably have
No,
just passed by that initially just because baseball is very on the cover, and that is not really me.
no, I'm not at all. I played as a kid. I watched it through the '90s, and I haven't watched it in 2.5 decades. I've been to a few live games, but just because friends. But
Yeah.
this man will crush you. Like it is so good. Gary Cooper is amazing, and it's the true story of Lou Gehrig and him succumbing to his illness and navigating that with his wife, navigating with his team, with himself, and all he had to go through emotionally and mentally, and watching the fans of New York, the team, surround him and support him. This was unbelievable. And Gary Cooper he was killer in this.
Wow.
And Babe Ruth being in there, that was fun too. But Leonard Maltin gives it 4 stars. Superb. I can't recommend this one highly enough, man. And I'm not a baseball guy, and I like some sports films, but I'm not a huge sports film guy. But this is really about him as a person and his heart and walking through this illness and what this meant to him and the city and the team. So highly recommend this one.
Is Teresa Wright the main actress in the movie?
Yeah, she plays his wife in this film. So she is right there in the middle of everything.
Good. Yeah, like I said, I like her, so I'm even more sold. Not that I didn't like Gary Cooper, but you said her name, and I'm even more sold.
Yeah, man, it is so well done. I was in tears, and I'm not a Yankees guy or a baseball guy, but it's just a great human story. Really good.
That's good. All
Yeah.
right. Good recommendations. Actually, I got to write it down first before I forget.
And I can't believe this doesn't have a Blu-ray release. I mean, one, it's Gary Cooper, and you got Teresa Wright in there. Yeah, monster film, but yeah,
That's how it is.
someday
So much stuff. That looks like a good Kino Lorber.
Kino would do a great job with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even with Lou Gehrig's disease, I could even see that Gary Cooper. I could even see Criterion doing something because you would have so many extra features to pull from, like since his life and since his passing. But anyway, maybe
Yeah.
someday.
But speaking Criterion, so these next two, I'm going to speak super, super highly on these ones. I loved this one. It is Magnificent Obsession. I posted about this immediately, like right after I got this. But oh my goodness, this is a Douglas Sirk movie. It's got Rock Hudson in it, who is awesome. Jane Wyman, and the story is it's a small little island town, and Rock Hudson plays like a rich playboy that doesn't care about anyone. He's just rich, throw money at it. And her husband is the local doctor. They both have an incident where they need the respirator. There's one respirator on the island, and Rock Hudson's character gets it. So he survives, and her husband dies. Uh, he tries to come to terms when he finds out that he's the reason for her husband dying. There's an accident that happens where she ends up going blind. So then he acts as if he's another person to her to fall in love with her, get closer with her. Great melodrama love story. I adored this movie the entire time. His character starts off, like I said, kind of like a rich playboy jerk in the beginning. And by the end, his growth throughout the movie, he ends up becoming a doctor, finishing off becoming a doctor because he gets so much emotional growth because of her throughout the movie. I freaking loved this so much. This is a sleeper Criterion. Like no one ever talks about this one. And
Nobody.
it's so freaking good. It's from what is it? 1954. I adored this one so much. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I think you would really, really like this one. The performances are amazing, and just seeing like their love story as he's acting like he's somebody else, but she kind of knows, you know what I mean? So just seeing that whole relationship bloom, I loved it so much.
That's awesome. I was like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I got sick, and I was laid up in bed for a couple of days, and I was nothing to do, so I was scrolling on the Criterion website, and I was like, I'm nowhere to go for the next 2 days. So I started at one and just was scrolling, and my wish list was exploding. And I've since like whittled it down again a little more. I was like, I don't need those, but I didn't spend a lot of time looking at that one. So I'm gonna have to go back and
Yeah,
watch the trailer and read up on it.
yeah, it's so good. It's beautiful too. Just the colors. It's a gorgeous transfer. It's 108 minutes, and it is spine 457 for whoever was watching that cares for the spine number. Oh, so good.
That's cool, man. I got to look that one up. This is awesome. I've got 4 recommendations that I have not seen. This is so good. If no one watches this, I selfishly am thankful for what I'm walking away with. So, all right, man. My number 4 pick is from 1932. This is a side of the road yard sale find, and they had nothing but this tiny box of DVDs. And I went over expecting nothing. And I saw this. It was old. It was 50 cents. And I grabbed it, and the lady was like, "Oh, that's so good. You're going to love it." And I was like, okay. And it was phenomenal. And after watching it, there's some special features on there. And I did a little reading on it. And apparently at the time, it was incredibly risque, and people were kind of up in arms a little bit. Some kind of conflict around the film, and it is Freaks from 1932. Ooh.
Yes, I know of Freaks. I haven't seen it, but that's a pretty big one.
Yeah, and apparently, like, they're missing some of not all of the entire film is here. That there's some of it that's not there, and it's like a circus. It's a freak show essentially. What's going on at the time. And it's considered on the backs as a classic of the grotesque. So what was the controversy around it was they hired people who did have some physical issues, and they had them in the cast. And the film isn't derogatory, but I think there might have been some in the treatment of the actors, like not as treated as highly.
Yeah.
But the film is actually the opposite. The film is talking about essentially the embracing of everyone and how everyone has value. And it kind of highlights when people are looked down and considered to be other, literally freaks. And so the film is super intense. You're watching it, you're like, this is cool. You're feeling bad for characters who are being exploited. And then all of a sudden it becomes a horror film. And the end is really dark and really intense. And I mean, it's horror for 1932. But the messaging, I would say, in this film is really great. But it ends in horror to emphasize a really positive message, which sounds weird, but it was, yeah. So I'll say that it ends very dark to emphasize something very positive. So
that's one I've wanted to check out for a long time. And anyone that does watch this, comment and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's we lost a lot of movies in the 20s into the early 30s because they didn't take care of things remotely. Mm-hmm. I think Freaks is one of the ones, though, where like we lost almost all the prints to it. So it was only like kind of a partial print that was left of the film, which would make sense for not having everything, because there's a lot of stuff out there where they have to basically just piece it together with what there is.
Yeah. So this one I would highly recommend. It's it's outstanding. And it's great. And very dark at the end. But the messaging is great.
Yeah, that one has been on my list for quite a while.
Yeah, I could not take my eyes off it the entire time.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. It's gonna be hard to follow that up. That's a big staple one. That's a biggie.
I mean, I'm surprised because of all of the conversation around it, and it's another one of those ones where I'm like, how has no one put this on Blu-ray yet?
Yeah, but that feels though like that Vinegar Syndrome Labs. Actually, that feels like a perfect type of title
Good
for that
call. Good call. You're absolutely right. It would be.
All right. So my last one of the five, at least, I talked with you on this, but I don't think you watched it yet. This is more so me just really trying to shove this movie out there. I adored
Yes.
On the Beach so much. Did you get around to watching it or?
No, I have
Okay.
not.
Yeah, all right. So for anyone that watching that hasn't seen this one, this is humans being idiots and pretty much setting us on a course towards extinction. It's nuclear holocaust essentially. Most of the planet's population is already dead. The main people that are left are in Australia, and the winds are blowing the radiation towards them with minimal hope of survival. This movie is very bleak, doesn't try to sugarcoat anything, doesn't try to take the easy way out on we found the cure. This is a dark movie, super dark for 1959. Yeah, 1959. This is a very, very dark movie. The performances are incredible. Gregory Peck is always amazing. This is Fred Astaire's first drama role, and he killed it. He was fantastic. Ava Gardner's great. Anthony Perkins is great. The whole cast is amazing. But it's a lot of the movie is just the cast kind of coming to copes with they're going to die. There's nothing they can do about it. The radiation is coming towards them. There's no hopes. It's so well done. Such a sad movie by the end. It's a crusher. It's phenomenal acting though. I loved this. This I don't know if this version's still in print. It might be. This one even came with a full like documentary all about it.
Amazing.
Yeah. But excellent movie. If you don't get this one though, Kino Lorber has a just bare bones, but you get the movie for way, way cheaper. So
Yeah.
highly recommend checking out On the Beach. Oh my goodness. It left an impact on me by the end because
Mm.
the whole thing is just we did it to ourselves. People are stupid and we did it to ourselves.
Wow. That one is available in the Kino sale. I think it's like $9 right now.
Oh God, is it worth every cent of $9?
Yeah, I have that one in my cart. I'm going back and forth. I'd like to pick up, I think, 5 or 6 in this sale, and it's in the cart. And I'm going back and forth on a couple other titles, but yeah,
Worth
I need to
every
see it.
penny.
I need to see that one, man. Oh, these are great titles. It's great. All right, my number 5 before we break the rule of 5 and just recommend a ton of other ones is a 1933. It's a Criterion film. This is one I purchased from met a wonderful lady when I was traveling, and she had stuff on sale, Facebook Marketplace. I went in and she had a library of old films, and everything was like $1.50. She was selling it, just getting rid of everything. And so this was one of them. And she even said to me, she was so funny. She goes, "Oh, I don't know if you'd like that one. It's kind of weird." And I was like, "Oh, look, I recognize the main actor who we've already talked about, and it's Criterion." I was like, "No, it's all good." She's like, "Well, it's a little strange." And I was like, "That's okay." And so anyway, I picked it up, watched it, loved it. It was on DVD, so I do need to upgrade it to Blu-ray eventually. But it's an Ernst Lubitsch film, spine number 592, and it's designed for living. Gary Cooper as well.
Ooh, okay.
So it's a really, really fun film. So these two fellas are like best friends, been together for a long time, artists. They're just awesome, awesome friends. And they meet this young lady and they both fall head over heels for her. She falls head over heels for both of them. And none of them want to break the relationship off. They all want to be with her. She wants to be with both of them. So for 1933, it's kind of risque. So they're fighting for her. She doesn't want to choose. She wants to be in a relationship with both of these guys. And but they want to be exclusive. She doesn't want to be exclusive. What are they going to do with it? So the film is it's a funny film. It's a rom-com. It's a screwball comedy. It's great. I highly recommend it. Again, for 1933, it's pretty risque. For today, we chuckle at it.
I actually think I might. No, it's not that one. All right. All right, it's not the set I thought. I thought I might have that, but I'm gonna have to pick that up though.
It's great, man. It's really funny. It's very, very funny. A
So
good screwball.
I've found this is gonna sound super snobbish, but Criterion doesn't let me down. Like if it's in the Criterion collection, I'm probably going to like it. I can't think of very many in the Criterion collection where I'm like, no, that was terrible. Like at worst case, I was like, that was a solid movie. That's worst case.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it might sound snobbish. I know how some people feel about Criterion, but I love what they put in there.
Yeah, there's a few Criterion I've seen that I thought to myself, that's a one-time watch. It was really good, but I probably won't watch it again. And I didn't keep it in the collection. But I've never seen one and thought the production on that was awful. I don't know why that's a highly regarded film. Um, I've seen some one-time watches, but you're right. They're putting out, yeah, they're Criterion for a reason. They're done well for as a label for a reason.
Yep.
So yeah. So anyway, that's my five, man. And I love your five. It's great.
Again, can't recommend this one enough. Right, the Kino sale. Oh my goodness, though, that's so worth it.
Oh man, what is the? Oh, I'm remembering the film. All right, so at the end of the day, you have to choose between On the Beach or Summertime. What are you recommending?
So it depends what I want people to come away with. I'd still recommend Summertime is the one I prefer more because Summertime feels like it could be watched in any mood.
Yeah,
Whereas like you have to really be in the right mood for something like On the Beach. Summertime is just I love that movie. So
I just know you've promoted those movies so much.
yeah. On the beach, you have to really you can't be in like, oh, I'm in a chipper mood. I'm gonna put on the beach, and then you'll you will not be in a chipper mood anymore.
The day just went downhill.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I do need to pick that one up. It is in my cart for the Kino sale, so I'm hoping to pick that up this time around.
Yeah, you'll love it.
Cool. Well, let's we won't friends talk about them as thoroughly, but how many additional films do you have sitting there?
So I have four more. I had two others that I looked after and I'm like, oh, they were 61 and 62. So
Okay.
I put those up to the side, but I have four that are within the 20s through 50s.
All right. Let's go back and forth. We'll quickly ram through these.
All right. So we have another film noir. I love film noir
Yeah.
so much, but this is super, super early Marilyn Monroe in a really tiny role. Her role is not that consequential, but it's cool to see early her. And this is a fun enough movie. I love film noir. It's hard to go wrong, but that was a good time.
That's a great pick. I'll go out with another Gary Cooper, and it's 1938 with Claudette Colbert as well, which if you haven't seen on Tim's channel, he just got a book with her autograph that was in there as well. This one is really, really funny. Good screwball. Ernst Lubitsch again. They just get married, and she finds out that she is his eighth wife, and she is mortified by that. And it just goes into chaos after that. And it's a screwball comedy, which are my favorite of all time from the 30s and 40s screwball comedies. So yeah, if you're looking for a light, funny watch, this is one great one.
I've had that one in the cart before.
Yeah, it's a Kino one. So if you're looking for one,
Yes, Kino. Oh, I love Kino. Do you like just wacky 50s monster movies?
yeah,
Because this is cheesy as all heck. I don't know if you've watched this. What
I
year is
haven't.
this? But anyways, yeah, it's super low budget, and you could tell in every way. But she becomes a 50-foot woman. Oh my goodness! When you see her 50-foot woman hands, they're just like plaster. Like they just it. Oh my goodness, the special effects are terrible. But that's what I love about these type of movies. It's just it looks like a cheesy monster movie, and that's good as it is. And the poster is actually probably more known than the movie itself nowadays. This is a pretty big, like this poster sells for a lot of money. This is artist Reynold Brown. He also did Creature from the Black Lagoon, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, like a bunch of stuff from the 40s and 50s. But yeah, that was a fun time.
Cool. That's awesome. I still need to see that. I haven't seen that yet. So I think the last time we talked, I intentionally, probably to the surprise of some people, did not talk Jean Arthur as much as I love her. So this time I said, you know what? I'm not holding back. I am bringing up a Jean Arthur film. So this is one that shockingly to me is not on Blu-ray. It's a George Stevens film from 1943. It's Gene Arthur, Joel McCrea, Charles Coburn, who I love, and it is a really funny screwball comedy. It's a wartime era, so it's hard to get apartments. So she opens up her apartment, rents half of her apartment to Charles Coburn, and he rents his half of an apartment to Joel McCrea because he thinks Gene Arthur needs to marry a nice young man. And so it just descends into utter chaos. And the relationship between the three of them and in this little apartment as Charles, the older fella, is trying to connect these two young kids. And it's just really, really well done. And I think deserves a Blu-ray release for sure. But really fun screwball comedy, romantic comedy.
I like screwball comedies, though.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the back of my next choice. It's another Criterion. And you ever feel like a light bulb went off, like, oh my gosh, I didn't make that connection. So you know how I said Mickey Spillane, he did Mike Hammer. It was his character. This is a Mickey Spillane, Mike Hammer movie. I watched this like 2 years ago.
That's funny.
I didn't make the connection at all that these are the same character and the same author wrote them. Wow. So you say, yes, you get another film noir based on the same character as this movie.
Nice.
It's a good one. Lots of twists and turns. Wow, I can't believe I didn't make that connection. So yes,
it'd be a fun double feature watch.
Yes, if anyone buys this, buy this too. Now I feel like I need to rewatch both together.
Nice.
Wow.
That's one, a cover I've seen multiple times. I just haven't picked that one up or looked into that one enough.
I can't believe I just noticed that. Oh my goodness.
This next one is from 1951. And so it's The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh, so
good.
Yeah.
They don't have, I don't believe they have a designated Blu-ray release of this film, but if you buy the Keanu Reeves version, there is a Blu-ray in there of the 1951 film.
Yep.
I don't love the Keanu Reeves version of the film.
No.
I love Keanu Reeves, but I found this Studio Classics release of it on DVD. I got it for $1 at some store, and it comes with like a little booklet. So I just swapped it out and put the actual Blu-ray from the other release in there. I have the DVD, it's a flipper with all the special features that were on this release. And the bonus disc is the Keanu Reeves version I put in the back of this. So I love the artwork of this. So I prefer to be on a Blu-ray case, but I love the artwork of the original. So the bonus disc is now Keanu, but highly recommend this one.
You know what that is? That right there is a Huck's Pop Culture Cafe custom.
That's true. That's true. When Huck and I do the 5 episode, I'll have to bring this and show it off.
Yes, he would totally love that. So my last one, I've been really getting into buying Indicator titles. Indicator releases a lot of stuff we don't have here yet. I don't think this one has a release here. Escape in the Fog. This is short as heck. It's 63 minutes. It's from 1945. I like when you get those super short ones. As long as the story makes sense. Yeah, sure. Give me a 60-minute movie. But this is a spy that has to make a trip during World War II with papers and German, what would it be? Undercover Germans are trying to intercept him to get the papers. It's a quick little movie that happens just over the course of the night. He needs to leave the country, go towards Germany, and it's just them trying to get the papers off of him because they're very important confidential papers that I guess could swing the war.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is a good time. Really cool cinematography. It says fog. There's a lot of fog in the movie. It's a cool one. I liked it.
I've never bought anything from Indicator. Is everything region B or?
No, there's a good chunk that are region free, but not all of them.
Okay. All right. I need to look into them more because I don't have anything from those guys.
Yeah, they release a lot of stuff that we haven't gotten Blu-rays up here yet.
Okay, cool. I need to look into them. All right. I actually have 2 other ones, so I'll cheat and do 2. This one is one I do need to upgrade to Blu-ray. It does have a Blu-ray release, and I loved it. I watched it over, I think, during the COVID days. And it's The Picture of Dorian Gray. So 1945. Angela Lansbury.
Yeah, I think I remember when you picked that up and you posted it on your Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was awesome. And it's in black and white with the exception of a small portion of the film. And it blew my mind because I was fully expecting this to be a 100% black and white experience. But how they use color totally ties into the power of the story. Um, great film. And then this last one, I love this so much. Warner Archive film. It needs a Blu-ray release. 1941. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Carol
Oh
Lombard,
yeah, yes.
and Robert Montgomery, and it is directed by Alfred Hitchcock, and it is a screwball romantic comedy, and which you don't think of Hitchcock doing that, and it is so good. I cannot recommend this one highly enough, and
All
hopefully,
Hitchcock is good.
yeah, yeah. And I just
For,
was not expecting this kind of film from Hitchcock, though.
yeah. And for the when you were saying the other movie had color, remember that Film Detective label?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have a movie, what is it called? Monster from Green Hell. Entertaining cheesy 50s or was it 40s monster movie, but the whole movie's black and white except for like the last minute with the confrontation with the monster and the screen. It's not even full color. It's like they tinted the screen green. It
really.
it was interesting. I was like, this is pretty jarring. But yeah, it was cool.
That's wild. And would you say the name of that one? Monster from Green Hell?
Monster from Green Hell, I think, is the name of it.
Monster from Green Hell.
It was a silly, cheesy monster movie, but I like my silly, cheesy monster movies.
You know what? When I was laying in bed last week, sick, scrolling through Criterion's website, I came across The Blob, and I've heard so many people talk about that film, and
So
I've
good.
never even read the description of what the film is because I was like, oh, it doesn't sound interesting to me. So I read through the description, and I was like, I gotta see this film. So it's on my list now.
Yeah, so I think you'll really dig the 50s Blob. It's more sci-fi than it is horror, and Steve McQueen is great. Uh, I would not recommend to you the 88 version though.
Okay,
Even if you love the Steve McQueen, the 88 version, it's great, but it leans heavy horror with some grotesque stuff. It is,
really,
oh my goodness. Like I said, the 50s one is sci-fi, the 80s one is horror all the way. Like someone getting sucked into a drain in a kitchen, like full on into the drain. Imagine a human going down a drain and the blood.
really.
It's oh my goodness, that movie is gnarly.
That's funny. Well, I saw when I was looking it up after seeing it again on the Criterion channel, I saw that there was. Is it considered a remake or just completely reimagining?
No, I think it's considered a remake.
Okay,
It takes the basic idea pretty much the same, but instead of crash landing from another planet, it's more of a science experiment type thing gone wrong. But it's a blob terrorizing a small town, but in a way more horrific way. Like
that's
they,
funny.
they they envision a sci-fi movie as a pure horror.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, the original one is what I'll probably stick with then.
Yes, for you, absolutely yes.
Good. Well, Tim, this is awesome, man. I am so excited. I have what here, five, nine different films I need to go look up. So I'm excited about that, man.
I will throw out, just gonna cheat real quick that this
Go
is
for it.
62, but it's so good. It's
I know.
so good.
I need to pick that one up. That's a 4K release, isn't it?
Yes, this
Yeah.
is honestly one of the best 4Ks that has come out over the past couple of years. I think it is.
Really?
It's amazing that because it was shot in on location in Hawaii, like the all of the Hawaiian scenery looks just stunning. And I'm pretty new to Elvis movies. I never really dived too much into him. This is such a just a lovely fun time. That's exactly what it was. You can't watch this and not have a smile on your face. Oh
Right.
my goodness. So yes, this was in my pile until I saw that it is, what did I say, 61 actually. Sorry, 61. So this is an honorable mention outside of our scope, but it was great.
And I think that's Paramount Presents' second Elvis film, isn't it?
I don't know.
I
Like I said,
think
I got to dive more into his filmography. I've only seen two
I
at this
think
point.
King Creole might be.
Yes, King
Oh,
Creole is in on this, and that's the other one I saw.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I loved it. I loved it so much.
Well, dude, check out Jailhouse Rock and Viva Las Vegas are both. You'll just have a smile on your face the entire time in those films too.
That's probably what all his movies are. They're just fun, just a smile on your face.
You paid him to look pretty and sing songs,
Yep.
and he did it very well. Yeah, that's cool. Well, Tim, thanks, man. This is awesome. Is there anything coming up on the channel you want to let people be aware of?
Uh, no, now that the 90s event is done, now it's just back to standard videos, but I got stuff I'm working on, but not done.
Cool.
So, no, just same old, same old.
Cool. Well, friends, if you're here, you've already subscribed to Tim's channel, but if for some reason you have not, you should. And it's a great channel with killer content. And anyway, Tim, always appreciate you, man. And I love watching your channel. And that 90s, friends, if you haven't seen that 90s live stream, it's well worth watching. It was so good. Really well done, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Well, cool. Well, thanks, man. And maybe we'll have part 3 down the
Yeah.
road if enough grandparents like this video. And we'll do it. Cool, man. Well, thanks so much, Tim. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye.